Hello, everybody, far and wide, and welcome to this forum that looks back in time. Courtesy of Casa D18 Studios, we hope you enjoy what's being called Throwback Thursday. Over the coming weeks, months, and hopefully years to come, we hope that you will enjoy us opening the vaults and archives to look back at some of the most unique content across all of our platforms, whether it's Casa D18 Studios, the Jeff Meacham Network, NoDQ.com, my Simple YouTube channel, The Simple Man's Brand, and of course, FTW Productions, hosted by James Hebert at jhebertside95. It basically is just going to offer you a ton of classic content. So with that being said, buckle up, have fun, take a seat, just enjoy life and enjoy wrestling, and enjoy what this Throwback Thursday has in store for you. And again, I hope that you stay tuned for many more that hopefully will come too.
And now, preview time. So let's take a look at what's coming your way.
Casa D18 Studios, an affiliate of the Jeff Meacham Network, Multiverse of Media, proudly presents this retro content from NoDQ.com.
Welcome everyone to Talk Wrestling here on NoDQ.com or MySpace or the YouTube page at NoDQ&AV. Thank you very much for watching again last week. Sorry the news wasn't exactly up to date, but we taped 2 weeks ago, so we're a little bit behind. But thank you very much to everybody that watched. First thing I want to talk about before we get into your questions is PWG's Bola, Battle of Los Angeles. Great tournament. I mentioned this on my blog on my MySpace, but it made me fall in love with wrestling all over again. Just a great 3 days of wrestling, just straight up wrestling. There was one storyline involving Chris Hero, the Human Tornado, and Candice LeRae. That was it. Everything else was just straight wrestling. It was great. SEMA from Dragon Gate won the tournament. Just a phenomenal weekend of wrestling, and I want to commend PWG. You can check them out at ProWrestlingGuerrilla.com. That's Pro Wrestling, GUERRILLA.com. And when their DVD comes out for this tournament, if you've never seen indie wrestling before, if you guys only watch WWE or TNA, this is the weekend to watch an indie wrestling DVD. I'm telling you right now, pick this up on High Spots, pick this up at their shows. Just a phenomenal weekend. So, the matches were phenomenal. Everything was just great. I met some great talents. You saw the pictures on my MySpace. If you didn't, go check them out. I met a ton of people this weekend. So, with that in mind, let's get to your first questions. All right, everybody asked me about the suspensions, so I'm just going to talk about the suspensions. Article by T.J. Quinn in the New York Daily News. The newspaper received a list of wrestlers who were clients of Signature Pharmacy. I'm going to talk about them. I'm going to talk about what their prognosis looks like, apparently. Randy Orton was one of the names listed, and he's already apparently served his time, according to various websites. So he's in the clear, apparently. You've got Charlie Haas, who didn't appear on Raw this last week. You've got Edge, who is currently injured anyway and on the shelf until November of this year. You've got King Booker, who is dealing with barking dogs and didn't appear on Raw this week. But King Booker wasn't on Raw. That could be very telling. Gregory Helms, one of the guys on the list, and he's on the shelf until next year. You got Simon Dean, who was the first person to be released after the suspensions news came out, so that could be very, very telling. Santino Marella, who accompanied Maria to the ring before her match this last week on Raw, but was caned and chased away by the Sandman. Is he going to be gone for 30 days? Is he going to be gone until next week? Who knows? John Morrison, who dropped the ECW title to CM Punk after the suspension news came out. So that, again, very telling. William Regal was on the list, and he was taken out by John Cena and replaced by Coach as the general manager of Raw. So, again, could be very telling. Mr. Kennedy was pulled off a house show over the weekend that the news came out, but he was still featured at the end of Raw. So, go figure. Chavo Guerrero was on the list, and he lost to Rey Mysterio in an I Quit match at the tapings of SmackDown. And Umaga was also mentioned, and he dropped the Intercontinental title to Jeff Hardy and was taken out by Triple H and the Notorious Sledgehammer. ESPN added Batista, who categorically denied the rumors on his website, DemonWrestling.com. You got Funaki, who didn't appear on SmackDown, but what else is new, quite frankly. And Chris Masters, who also didn't appear on SmackDown. So a lot of the guys that were on this big list that came out with Signature Pharmacy weren't on TV this week. Or were on TV and were taken out of TV as a result of their actions. So it could be very interesting to see what happens with the suspensions. But I think that WWE is going to follow through with this. I think that's smart of them to do so. I think that WWE is finally going to take this wellness policy and actually enforce it, which is good. Congress is saying, oh, it's not enough, you got to do more. And they're doing plenty. They suspended 10 top WWE superstars, in my opinion. I mean, a lot of these guys are still mid-card, but a lot of these guys, like Edge, like Randy Orton, who already served his time, like John Morrison, like William Regal, like Mr. Kennedy, like Umaga, and Batista, if he does get in trouble, is a big deal. So, just something to think about, kids. This one's from D. Jones. With Ric Flair on SmackDown, do you think he'll ever get another title run? I know I'm probably just living in the past, but hey, Hogan got the title from Triple H not so long ago. Do you think Ric Flair would make a good champ should he get a chance at number 17? Well, first of all, it'd be number 21. Let's make that very clear. I've mentioned this before on XMV and Ringside Insanity and all that. He's had 20 different world title reigns. This would be number 21. But with him apparently quitting SmackDown this last week, or apparently quitting SmackDown a few weeks ago and just now the news being leaked, I don't think if he does go back, he'll get a title run. I don't think WWE trusts him. That's just my honest opinion. I don't think WWE will trust him anymore. So, no, I don't think he'll get a title run at all. This is from It's Not a Phase, It's a Lifestyle. If the Amazing Red and Jack Evans were ever to have a run in the WWE Cruiserweight division, do you think that those two would have a good ladder match for the Cruiserweight title? In my opinion, it'd be one of the best Cruiserweight matches I would have ever seen. I don't think Amazing Red will get a shot in WWE, quite frankly. I think Jack Evans might one day. Amazing Red time has kind of passed as far as being a mainstream superstar, because he was in TNA for a while and he was really, really over, but he hasn't been on TNA in some time. So I think if he ever had his chance, it was 3, 4, 5 years ago when TNA first started. Jack Evans is still a great indie stand-up. He was a part of the Battle of Los Angeles this last weekend, and he had a phenomenal first-round match with Pac, not X-Pac, but a guy by the name of Pac, and he was in a big 12-man tag match at the last night of the tournament. Just phenomenal match. I think that if either one of them had a match for the Cruiserweight Championship in a ladder match, it would be a great match. I'd love to see them in a ladder match regardless of the Cruiserweight Championship being involved. It would just be a really good ladder match between those two, just like for maybe a number one contender spot in an indie show or something. It would be really cool. This is from Zombified. What do you think about Michael Cole? He's been in the WWE, WWF for years, but he's the only one who hasn't gotten in the ring. Do you think that's in his future? No, I don't. I think that Michael Cole is going to be strictly an announcer. He's been following the business for a number of years before he got involved in WWE, and quite frankly, I don't like Michael Cole. I really don't. I've never liked Michael Cole, and to put him in a ring would be a disaster. It would be a joke. It would be really, really silly. You've got guys like JR who grew up in the business, was a referee for a while, did announcing for a number of years. He's been in a select few matches, if you want to call him that. You've got Jerry Lawler, who's a legend in the business. You've got JBL, who was a great WWE champion in his time. You've got Joey Styles, who was the voice of ECW for a number of years and grew up in the business as well. And you've got Taz, who was a great ECW champion and a great WWE superstar. Michael Cole does not belong anywhere near a wrestling ring unless he's doing an interview. Do not put him in the ring. I wish these dogs would stop barking. I really do. They drive me crazy. But, no Michael Cole in the ring. Bad idea. Alright, this one's from Hakul. Do you think there should be more face versus face and heel versus heel matches in WWE? I think WWE is too strict in having just face versus heel matches. What can make some results predictable? Like in number one contendership situations. Well, we've seen some heel versus heel stuff at times. We saw Carlito and Kennedy in the same match, one-on-one. It was a triple threat match also involving Umaga, who was also kind of a heel at the time, too. He had 3 heels in one match. We are seeing more and more of not just strictly face versus heel matches in wrestling anymore. We're seeing just, wrestler versus wrestler, which is a nice switch. But I think that the whole basis of the wrestling business has been the good guy versus the bad guy. That's how it's always been. And I think for them to take away from that would be a mistake. I think that, if you're going to have bad guy versus bad guy, what's the point of rooting for anybody? You don't like either one of these guys. Why are you going to root for one guy over the other one? So I think the basis for the business is strictly a hero versus an anti-hero, or a hero versus a villain. So why mess with the formula that's worked for so many, many years? This is from Andy Cal. My question is, why has there never been an Englishman to hold the WWE or world title in WWE? That's a good question. I mean, you got guys like the British Bulldog, Dynamite Kid, British Bulldog Dave Boy Smith, not the other British Bulldog who was the Dynamite Kid. You've got William Regal, who could have been a good world champion. Dave Taylor could be a good world tag team champion. That's a really good question. I don't know why. You've got Regal, who's been world tag team champion in WWE more than once. But I don't know why there's never been an Englishman. That's a good question. You have to ask WWE about that, because you've had guys like David Boy Smith, who could have been a great world champion in his time, and he could have been a good WCW world champion too back when he was there, but they just never did it. I don't know why. This is from Win or Lose, You Do It in Style and Through Pain. That's a very interesting MySpace name. Thank you. Do you think WWE should bring back some ECW originals like Raven, Sabu, Shane Douglas, New Jack, Axel Rotten, Too Cold Scorpio, and Terry Funk? Raven's under contract to TNA. He will be for some time. I don't think he'll ever go back to WWE. He's happy with TNA right now. He's happy with their schedule. He's happy being an agent for them, from what I understand. Sabu just got released from WWE not too long ago. I don't think they'll bring him back anytime soon. They weren't impressed with Sabu, unfortunately. Shane Douglas has been very outspoken against WWE and their policies and their people. He's run down WWE more than once. He blames them for a lot of his career malfunctions, I guess you can call him. New Jack. New Jack is definitely not WWE material, unfortunately. New Jack is very much his own person, very much his own man. He was in TNA for a cup of coffee, and that's about it. I don't think you'll ever see him in mainstream wrestling. Axel Rotten, he was with One Night Stand 2005, but they didn't bring him back for One Night Stand 2006. There's something there. Too Cold Scorpio is actually, he was signed back to WWE for a while, but they re-released him again. And Terry Funk is like 65 years old, I think now, or close to it. And Terry Funk, God bless him, hurt himself at One Night Stand 2006 in that hardcore 6-man tag match. A 6-person tag match, excuse me. I don't think you'll see Terry Funk back in ECW anymore at all. This is from Chaz. What do you think about WWE even having Saturday Night's Main Event anymore? It just seems to have lost everything it used to have back in the day, and it seems like a way for WWE to boost rivalries for a bigger pay-per-view. In my opinion, it's pretty pointless at the moment. You don't even get cross-branded matches, so it's effectively just another SmackDown, Raw, or ECW. Thanks, man. Keep up the good work. Yeah, Saturday Night's Main Event used to have a big fight feel type of thing. Like, if you were going to have pay-per-view that month, you'd have Saturday Night's Main Event. Or you'd be able to watch Saturday Night's Main Event on NBC and just kind of find out what's going on with WWE. If you don't have the syndicated shows or you don't have the USA Network shows, you can watch it on NBC and still get to see guys like Hulk Hogan and Roddy Piper and Bob Orton and, you know, all the big-time guys that they had there. But as of late, Saturday Night's Main Event has kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. I think Saturday Night's Main Event is pretty much useless. I agree with you. They don't really use it to do any cross-brand matches, which is kind of silly because you don't have that big fight atmosphere. And it's really much just more of a storyline pusher. And when you've got Raw, ECW, and SmackDown during the week, and then you have Saturday Night's Main Event, that's 4 nights a week of WWE wrestling. That's too much. That's just too much wrestling. Plus you have TNA Impact if you're watching Impact. So you got 5 out of the 7 days of wrestling. It's oversaturation of the market. It's just too much. This is from Daniel. What has been your favorite pay-per-view match and pay-per-view moment? God. My favorite pay-per-view match has probably been, I have to say Hulk Hogan versus Sergeant Slaughter from WrestleMania 7. The only reason I say this is because that was my first pay-per-view main event that I ever got to see, although I get to see it until many months later because my pay-per-view network went blacked out on us. My favorite pay-per-view moment has probably been ECW's first pay-per-view when they came out in 1997. Just seeing them make it and seeing them make it to the big time and make it on pay-per-view, that was really cool for me to see. This is from one of our first fans that we ever got on the MySpace, Kristen. What's your opinion on the Boogeyman? I love him, but I hate the way he keeps changing his look. I think the original look was the best. I also think he should get a push in ECW. I'm not a fan of the Boogeyman. Don't like the gimmick whatsoever. I think it's kind of a joke, to be perfectly honest with you. I think it's very much a sports entertainment gimmick and not a wrestling gimmick. It's too much. The fact he's eating worms and making other people eat the worms, and just the whole thing is silly. If he got rid of the worms, I might like it a little bit more. Just because his whole persona is very eerie, it's very creepy. But I think the whole worms thing just pushes it over the top and makes it just completely unbelievable. I think it's really a joke. Thank you for the question, Kristen. This is from Proud to be an American. Do you think Owen Hart will ever be inducted in the WWE Hall of Fame, and why is it taking WWE so long to do it? The reason Owen Hart's not been inducted into the Hall of Fame is because nobody from the Hart family wants to accept his induction. His wife has been very much adamant against him being inducted to the Hall of Fame. She doesn't want anything to do with the company anymore. She doesn't want to go and accept the award on his behalf, and the Hart family is respecting her wishes. They don't want to be involved if she doesn't want to be involved. And I think that's very nice of them. I think that's very good of the Hart family to back Martha and to back her feelings on WWE. If Martha ever lets up and says, okay, I'll let him be inducted, then they'll do it. I honestly think you'll see the British Bulldog inducted before Owen Hart. I think you'll see a lot of people inducted before Owen Hart, and Owen Hart will take a long time to get inducted strictly because of his widow's wishes. This is from Josh. Now, Josh Tariff, my old co-host, or my buddy, but different Josh. Which wrestler deaths do you think are the most unexpected from the last 20 years? Chris Benoit, for sure. Eddie Guerrero. Adrian Adonis, who died in a car accident with a lot of other wrestlers in 1988. God, who else? Ravishing Rick Rude. Owen Hart, of course. Luis Piccoli. Brian Pillman. A lot of guys have died unexpectedly. I've mentioned this on the show a few times. Wrestler deaths have taken their toll on the business. They've grown in number in the last 20 years, for sure. Really, really sad. Really, really unfortunate. This is from Skeets from Basingstoke, I guess. Which do you prefer, a 6-sided or a 4-sided ring? Well, having to set up both at one point in my life or another, I have to say I prefer a 4-sided ring. They're much easier to set up. They're much easier to deal with. As far as the in-ring work, I don't prefer either one. I like them both just the same. Six-sided ring kind of leaves innovation to the wrestlers and leaves the wrestlers to do more things. But the four-sided ring is more traditional. You get a better traditional feel with the four-sided ring. I don't really have a preference one way or the other. I like them both just as equally. But setting up, I like a four-sided ring a lot better. This is from our buddy Cactus Capo. I was just wondering what your thoughts on Dustin Runnels' Rhodes character Black Rain. It seems kind of out there, much like the Goldust character, but this one is more evil and dark. Just wanted your opinion. I haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen Black Rain on TNA yet. I've only seen Dustin Runnels on TNA. I haven't seen a pay-per-view with Black Rain being involved, so I have no opinion on that whatsoever. But thank you for the question. If I happen to see No Surrender this Sunday, which I'm going to talk about in a few minutes, I will definitely try to check out Black Rain and see what my opinion is on him. If he's anything like Goldust, I'll like him. But apparently he's more evil and twisted than Goldust, so I'll have to wait and see what my opinion is. This is from Heart Filled with Love. Who do you think is the most underused talent in both TNA and WWE? Underused talent in TNA is probably the X Division guys in general. They're not being used at all right now. You've got one guy that's getting a big X Division push, and that's Black Machismo, along with Kurt Angle, who's the X Division champion. Black Machismo is going to get his title shot at TNA's No Surrender this Sunday. But you got Triple X, who are all X Division guys that are being pushed as a tag team again. You've got guys like Kazarian is being pushed as a single star, not just a X Division star. You've got, you've got guys like, there's a lot of X Division guys. Shark Boy, P.D. Williams, Havoc, Martyr. They're being used as tag team guys or, singles guys and not X Division guys. The only person that's getting an X Division title shot lately has been Black Machismo and Samoa Joe and Kurt Angle, who are both main event guys. WWE, anybody you don't see on Raw or SmackDown or ECW every week. You got guys like Funaki, you got guys like, any of the cruiserweights. They're not getting utilized at all. On Raw, you've got, there's a number of guys. Davari's not being used right at all. Davari's being used terribly. The Divas are being pushed again, which is nice. ECW, a guy by the name of Mike Knox, who hasn't been on WWE TV for some time, but he's still on the roster on WWE.com on ECW's roster. He's not getting used right whatsoever. There's a lot of guys in WWE and TNA that are both being utilized improperly completely. Thank you very much to everybody that sent in questions this week. If I didn't get to your question, I finally got through my inbox. Woohoo! So I will get to your question as soon as possible. You can check out TNA's No Surrender live on pay-per-view this Sunday. Check out NoDQ.com's coverage of that. Somebody will be covering it. You got Kurt Angle versus Abyss, Kurt Angle and Sting versus Team Pac-Man, Kurt Angle against Jay Lethal, Joe versus Cage, Rhino versus Cowboy James Storm, Frankie Kazarian versus Robert Roode, Chris Harris versus Black Rain, Dustin Runnels, and you got a 10-team gauntlet match. The winners will get a title shot at Down for Glory. VKM, LAX, Team 3D, the Motor City Machine Guns, Triple X, AJ and Tomko, Sunjay and Petey, Raven and Havoc, Eric Young and Shark Boy, and Lance Hoyt in the debut of Jimmy Rave, who I saw at Bola. Great wrestler. Jimmy Rave is awesome. Please leave feedback on my MySpace, and of course leave feedback on the YouTube page at YouTube username NoDQ&AV. Just a great website. I love YouTube, and we thank you for all the hits on YouTube. Leave feedback there. We'll get some discussion going, perhaps, and stay tuned for episode number 10 of Talk Wrestling. What's the matter, puppies?
And now, preview time. So let's take a look at what's coming your way.
Hello everybody, this is Double A, the normal cameraman for the Renegade of Wrestling channel on YouTube. Shouts out to guys over there. Just letting you know to be on the lookout for my new show, The Double Down with Double A. It's going to be innovative, it's going to be fun. I'm not always going to talk about wrestling. I'm going to talk about sports, current events, or just shit that just really just pisses me off. So be sure to tune in very soon.
The Casa D18 Studios, an affiliate of the Jeff Meacham Network, Multiverse of Media, proudly presents this retro content from the Casa D18 Studios.
To episode 9, and for the time being, the final episode of A Hardy Conversation. I am Sean Hardy.
And I am Chris Hardy.
And unfortunately, this will be the last episode because Chris here is going to be relocating to Sin City,
Las Vegas. Area code 702, me and my beautiful fiance are moving to Vegas for better financial beings, basically, with the economy the way it is, we cannot afford to live here in Long Beach, anymore. So basically, we are moving to Las Vegas. So, my father thanks you, my mother thanks you, my fiance and our future babies thank you. So, and we'll just leave it at that.
Anyways, let's get on to the goings-on in professional wrestling for this past week. Superstars, I watched that last night, a whole week late almost.
Whatever.
There wasn't anything too impressing on it.
Nope.
SmackDown, again, there wasn't anything too impressing on it.
No.
Eve beating Natalia, don't ask me why. I have 3 words for you, Eve. I'm not going to go on a huge rant like I did Michelle McCool because I actually like you a little bit better than that. But I have 3 words for Eve. You're not Lita. Stop trying to do the moonsault. It looked horrendous. Don't even try it. Okay? On to Night of Champions, where virtually every championship was retained. 3 belts changed hands. And honestly, none of them were surprises.
You were surprised with the new World Heavyweight Champion, Jeff Hardy.
I was a little bit surprised that they let Jeff win, considering he hasn't really signed an extension contract or whatnot. But it is what it is. If he keeps it past SummerSlam, then I'll be really surprised. But they were kind of at a point with the angle where they had to put the strap on him, especially after Punk's promo during the pay-per-view.
Seriously.
As soon as I saw that, I knew Jeff was going to win. End of story. Tommy Dreamer losing the ECW title to Christian didn't surprise me. I just wish they'd have waited to SummerSlam to make him drop the belt instead of jobbing him out in Philadelphia, the home of Extreme Championship.
Well, that's why Vince did it, because it was the home of ECW.
I know, but still, I wish they had given Tommy a little bit of respect. 1 more month wouldn't have killed them. Christian could have won it at a bigger pay-per-view, SummerSlam. And then Mickie James, the new Divas champion, the second person to be Diva and Women's champion, should have been the first person.
Seriously.
Instead of Skank McDrool.
Yeah.
But that's another situation altogether.
And then a couple things. One, Marlies had surgery yesterday on, I don't know what it was, but basically she's going to be out for a while, so...
that's part of why she dropped the belt to Mickie James.
Yes. And then today, on July 30th, the Brian Kendrick has been released by the WWE.
Welcome to the Future Endeavors Club, Spanky.
Yes. And now you can go to ROH or off-brand PWG shows and team up with Paul London.
Or go to TNA.
Or TNA.
They could definitely benefit from a person like him in the X Division.
Yep.
Raw was much better than it was last week.
It was Shaq-alicious.
Tell me you didn't just say that.
It was Shaq-tastic.
It was much better than Top, that's for sure.
Seriously.
Shaq versus Big Show and Jericho, that whole opening segment was priceless.
It has been played on SportsCenter every single day this week.
I loved Shaq tearing up the Kobe Bryant sign. That was awesome because I can't stand Kobe and the Fakers. But that's another story in of itself.
Yeah, Shaq kissing Jericho and Jericho did the whole cross-eyed thing. That was freaking hilarious.
Yeah. I was waiting for Shaq to make the main event for the straps since he had complete control, but it wouldn't have mattered because then Crime Time would have lost, and we all know it. For whatever reason, they want to keep Crime Time down. They've been #1 contenders like 15 times and keep getting jerked around for the straps.
Yeah, so hopefully they'll...
Michael Hayes must be writing their storyline.
So hopefully they'll get a title shot at SummerSlam against Jericho and Big Show and beat them.
Hopefully, yes. This week's ECW, again, nothing dramatic.
No.
Sheamus came out and did nothing. Dude, it's called spray on tan, okay? Spray on tan.
Yes.
Since your pasty Irish ass can't go to a beach and get a real tan, borrow some of Zack Ryder's spray on tan in a can, okay? Get you a little bit of color, something.
Seriously.
I've seriously got to adjust just the brightness on my television every time Sheamus comes out.
Yeah. That's really all. I mean, tonight will be SmackDown. We'll be watching that. So, on to questions.
And we've got a lot of them today. We'll probably be spending a good portion of this part and the next part going over discussion from the questions because there are some really, really good ones. Super Shannon, a.k.a. Hurragirl, says, "Hey Hardy guys, when do you think the Hurricane will come back for good, and what do you think they will do with him?" Right now, I think Gregory Helms is content just doing it in offbeat scenarios like they've been doing it. You know, someone's in danger, whoosh, in comes the Hurricane, whoosh, out goes the Hurricane,
but they haven't,
and just leave it at that.
But they have been teasing with like Shelton Benjamin on ECW to, oh, put on a costume. He's like, what? So I think they are teasing a little bit. So maybe SummerSlam, maybe like a big pay-per-view, a Hurricane will come on down. Because I'm a Hurricane fan. I am Hurricane Jr. and he is the original shit, literally. So, you know, we're big Hurricane fans. So we're hoping to see Hurricane ECW champion.
Another new writer, the Abraham Washington Show. And let me just say right there, your show needs to be canceled. Seriously, the Abraham Washington Show is gay.
Yeah.
It is lame. It is not entertaining. The dude seriously tries way too hard to get laughs.
Yes,
and it's just not funny. Yeah. But anyway, the Abraham Washington Show writes, "Yo Hardy guys, what do you think about the new ECW? The people who are traded there, the new talent exchange, and what would you change about it, if anything?" I would change a lot about the new ECW. For starters, I would change the name of the show because it isn't even ECW anymore now. As far as the talent traded there, I think they've got a nice little roster of talent right now that can do a lot of good things if given the opportunity, but Vince doesn't want to give them the opportunity. That's all there is to it. Chris, what about you?
You know, I like it. I like, you know, that they brought Hurricane on there. You know, Shelton Benjamin, future ECW champions. I think
Regal and Burchill, I think, would make a good tag team if they wanted to put them together again.
Yeah, I think it's a nice, you know, group of people for the new ECW. You know,
Even Ezekiel Jackson and Sheamus. I do like Sheamus. He looks like he can be very imposing and develop into a good character, but get a tan.
Yeah. And then, yeah, Ezekiel Jackson's just basically the new big black guy that scares everybody. Since Mark Henry went to Raw and turned face.
And it looks like him and Kozlov are doing this anything you can do, I can do better shtick.
Seriously.
Which could be really good and it could be really bad.
Yeah.
Either Kozlov or Jackson is going to turn face, or they're going to end up making a tag team. And watch out if they make a tag team.
Seriously.
Another brand new writer, Mr. Flores. Hey guys, I'm a long-time viewer, first-time writer, and I have a question for your show. Do you believe that Bobby Lashley will be watered down in TNA like he was in WWE? I don't feel that he was watered down in WWE. He didn't really get too much of a chance to shine due to his departure, but I don't feel that he really was watered down in WWE. But if anything, he'll get free reign, so to speak, in TNA, because TNA allows the wrestlers to do so many things that the WWE bans them from doing. The Vertebreaker, Canadian Destroyer, stuff like that, that if Bobby Lashley has a devastating move like that, he'll be allowed to do it where WWE wouldn't allow him to.
Yeah. You know, he was ECW champion, he was US champion. I mean, I don't think he was really watered down. I mean, he did have big, main event matches with, Umaga versus the whole Trump Vince thing. I mean, he was putting some pretty good main event matches. John Cena, Lashley at SummerSlam. So I don't think he was too watered down in WWE.
Now on to our repeat writers and viewers. Shannon Hardy, aka Jeff's Girl, says, "Hey Chris, this question is for you, cutie. If you had to make a faction with Jeff being the leader, who would you have in his faction, and who would he go up against?"
After thinking about this for a while, I would probably do Jeff, Rey Mysterio, Evan Bourne, Gregory Helms, and Mickie James being the diva in that faction, going up against either Legacy, or when Matt comes back doing his fashion, having Matt and probably the Hart Dynasty, or Carlito, or someone like that. I'd probably do that. After thinking about it for a long time.
Your good buddy Punk Sucks wants to know, who do we think would win a faction war? Old School DX or the Main Event Mafia? And hands down, I think it would have to be the Mafia because of experience, championships, and let's face it, when Old School DX was in their prime, none of those guys, except for maybe Triple H, could hold a candle to any of the Mafia.
I would like to see it now, maybe of like Michaels, Trips, X-Pac, Road Dogg, Billy Gunn, and Chyna go up against the Main Event Mafia. That would be interesting to see, like Old School DX, with Shawn and Michaels together with Old School DX, of X-Pac, Billy Gunn, Road Dogg, Chyna, and see what they could do against the Main Event Mafia.
I think it would be a good fight, but I ultimately think that the Mafia would win because I think the downfall for DX would be X-Pac and the Outlaws. Yeah, Triple H and Shawn are like main eventers. They're at the top of their game still. Shawn, having had his back injury, bounced back. He is as good as he was when he left, if not maybe even a little bit better. Triple H has definitely evolved since DX to now. But again, in the Mafia, you've got Joe, who could easily take out any of the DX. Then you got Angle, an Olympic gold medalist. Let's not take anything away from Kurt Angle.
And Triple H and Shawn Michaels will whoop that ass.
And Angle's whooped that ass. So it's pretty fair in of itself.
And
then you've got Booker T, a six-time world champion. Not sure yet if he held the TNA belt. I haven't really looked into that. Stat Boy, got something for you to do.
Squeak.
Scott Steiner, former WCW champion. Kevin Nash, former WWF and WCW champion. Then you've got the two hoes at ringside. You've got Sharmell and Jenna Maraska, who no doubt Chyna would just eat those two for dinner.
Seriously.
But if you put the guys against the guys, you've got essentially Triple H and Shawn Michaels over here, and you've got Kevin Nash, Angle, Joe, and Booker over here, it's an unfair fight.
Yeah.
Last question comes from Team Ego, and he says, hey guys, who do you think are the top 5 WWE champions of all time and the top 5 tag teams of all time?
I'll take tag teams, you take WWE.
Well, I've got my own opinion on both of them, so
Okay.
you go ahead and go first.
Alright.
I know Jeff Hardy's going to be in there for WWE champions. I know the Hardy Boys are going to be in there for tag champions.
Okay, hold on.
So, go ahead.
Hardy Boys, Dudley Boys, Edge and Christian, LOD, and probably the Hart Foundation. Yeah, the Hart Foundation. The original one. I'd probably go, those are my 5 tag teams of all time. The best WWE champions, Angle, Rock, Austin, Trips, and Undertaker. Those are probably my top 5.
Okay. I know you haven't been watching as long as I have, and you don't go back to the old school as much as I do. But I think the key phrase here was all time, and most of the people you listed are still fairly modern era. My top 5 tag teams of all time: the Hart Foundation, the British Bulldogs, the Brainbusters, Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard, the Legion of Doom, and the Rockers. Okay, with honorable mentions going to the Hardys and the New Age Outlaws.
Not even Dudley Boys, the 22 tag team championships.
Maybe an honorable mention there, but the LOD, I feel, are still superior to the Dudleys despite championship reigns, because they were innovative and they were pioneering back in the day. The Dudley Boys aspired to be like the LOD. As far as WWE champions, it's going to pain me to say some of these because I really don't like some of these people, but they are great champions. Hulk Hogan. There would be no modern WWE if it wasn't for Hulk Hogan.
Sure.
End of story.
Yeah.
Okay? Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, The Rock, and Triple H. Those are my 5. With honorable mentions going to Austin, Cena, and Orton.
Okay, I like that.
Because Austin defined the Attitude Era. Cena is trying to pick up the ball that Austin left behind when he retired as far as attitude goes. And let's be honest, Randy Orton is by and far the greatest WWE wrestler they have right now. Hands down.
Agree with that.
He can take a bag of dog shit and make it look good in the ring. That's why Vince allowed him to feud with the McMahons and punt every McMahon, because everybody in the locker room feels that Randy Orton is the safest worker in the company.
Yes.
End of story.
He has Kratos and Ted DiBiase. That's why. That's why he has, he's carrying those 2 piles.
Cody and DiBiase are not piles of shit. Granted, they haven't been allowed to bloom into their own as individuals yet, but give them time. Mark my words.
I think
they will be singles champions.
I think Cody will be a better champion than Ted.
Not saying world. I'm just saying they
I
will
know.
be singles.
Me too. Both of them will be singles. Cody will be most likely IC or US, and Ted either or, but I think they'll give the belt to Cody first, like they did Randy, because I think Cody is the Randy of Evolution and Ted is the Batista.
Okay. That being said, that is it for the final episode of A Hardy Conversation for now.
For now.
Hopefully we'll be able to reunite SummerSlam weekend and film episode 10.
Because never say never in wrestling.
But be on the lookout for our spin-off shows. Not sure what they're being called yet. I think his is the Chris Hardy Show. Haven't come up with my title yet, but be on the lookout starting next week for the spin-offs. See you around.
And now, preview time. So let's take a look at what's coming your way.
The Casa D18 Studios, an affiliate of the Jeff Meacham Network, Multiverse of Media, proudly presents this retro content from NoDQ.com.
Oh, you didn't know? Your ass better watch NoDQ&A on NoDQ.com. That's right. Welcome everyone to NoDQ&A. I am the owner, Aaron Rift. Let's get right down to your questions. Do you feel that any UFC fighters could be successful in WWE? Definitely. If Ken Shamrock is any indication, there are plenty of guys in the UFC that could make the transition to WWE. Some of those guys are really good at cutting promos. Some of them even better than the current WWE guys. So, that's a big deal right there, is just being able to cut a money promo and, convince people to buy into your product. So, yeah, and I mean, you see all the professional athletes that have successfully transitioned into WWE, whether it be UFC or whether it be football or amateur wrestling. Those guys, most of them are naturally able to convert from the non-scripted environment to the scripted environment without a problem. So yeah, definitely. And I think when some of these UFC fighters, when their body starts to break down and they retire from fighting, we could see some of them, like maybe Quinn Jackson, and some of those guys could end up in WWE in the next couple of years for sure. If Vince Russo would have stayed with WWE and would still be there today, where do you think the company would be? Well, I think that's a really difficult question to answer, because I do not think that WWE and Vince Russo were destined to be together. Vince Russo is the kind of guy that wants to have full control of whatever company he's working for. And the whole WWE landscape was starting to change around mid-1999. Vince Russo wanted to put Jeff Jarrett into a main event program with Steve Austin, and Austin turned it down. So, it's kind of ironic, because a few months after that, Russo ended up in WCW, and so did Jeff Jarrett. So there you go. And another funny thing is that some of you may or may not know this, but in mid-2002, Vince Russo actually returned to WWE, but he quickly left the company because he was frustrated with the whole creative team situation, because there was something like 8 or 9 guys in the creative team at that point, and that, like I said before, Vince Russo wants to be the main guy in charge. So yeah, really hard to answer that question. I do not think Vince Russo and WWE would have stayed together for very long if Russo had stayed with WWE and not gone to WCW. Did you think it was pointless for Edge to cash in the Money in the Bank against John Cena, only for him to lose the WWE title 3 weeks later? I think if they wanted Cena to get the belt back, the main event for WrestleMania 22 would have been Edge versus John Cena. Well, here's the thing. I'm sure Edge was not in the plans to be a long-term champion. I think WWE was actually surprised a little bit just how over Edge got. You know, when he did that sex celebration with Lita, the ratings were just through the roof for that. And yeah, I think WWE was taken back a little bit by that. And, you know, they already had the booking planned out through WrestleMania 22, so they weren't about to change it. So they just stuck with the plan. Cena won the belt back, went on to WrestleMania. But, you know, after that, Edge got back into the main event title situation. So yeah, you know, everything worked out for Edge really well with that whole situation. So I don't think there's really any room to complain about how he was used, you know, in the next couple weeks after he won the title. I think everything worked out really well for him in the end, and it ultimately doesn't really matter. When they eventually retire, who do you think should replace John Cena and Randy Orton as the top faces of WWE? Well, right now, CM Punk's really the only guy that I think could fill the void for John Cena or Randy Orton, unfortunately. So, yeah. You said that a one-time world champion is better than a 10-time world champion because the 10-time world champion lost it 9 times. I agree, but doesn't the one-time world champion's inability to regain the title say something? Well, here's my opinion. I think that the world champion should be clearly seen as the best guy in the world. He should be seen as the #1 guy. There should be no disputing about it. You know, that's why I think that, you know, Hulk Hogan's reign was so successful. Steve Austin's reign was so successful because they were clearly the #1 guy, and the world title actually meant something when these guys were clearly the #1 guy. And same thing with John Cena too. You know, people complain about John Cena, everything, but his whole superhero gimmick, you know, when he's the world champion, people believe it and believe that he's the #1 guy in the business. I think the whole deal with the challengers is that they should be built up strongly so it's believable that they can beat the world champion. I think the problem with like a guy like R-Truth is that, you know, everybody that follows the wrestling business knew that it was highly unlikely that R-Truth was going to win the title at Capital Punishment. But if WWE had done a good job with the booking and the storyline, fans would actually believe there's a chance that R-Truth could beat John Cena. But what ended up happening was that they did this match with John Cena and R-Truth where R-Truth basically got a fluke count-out win. And that's how we're supposed to believe that R-Truth can beat John Cena when he wins by a fluke. And, you know, they wonder why the pay-per-view buy rate was so low. The problem was that there was no illusion created that R-Truth could defeat John Cena. And that's the big problem. It's not so much that, you know, or maybe R-Truth should have won the title so he could be seen at John Cena's level. The big thing they needed to do there was push R-Truth and make him a believable challenger for John Cena. So, you know, that whole thing is just my opinion right there. That's how I would do things if I was in charge. But, you know, I'm just doing a little video here. So there you go. Hey Aaron, do you think John Cena will be a 20-time champ by the end of his career? I think he will be a 30-time champ. All right. Why is WWE having such a hard time building new talent? Isn't that what ultimately helped them defeat WCW? Well, see, here's the thing about WWE, you know, now compared to the mid-1990s. Back in the mid-1990s, WWE was struggling against WCW, and they had no choice but to push guys that they normally would not push. Like, and a perfect example would be Mick Foley. Can you imagine today, 2011, Mick Foley trying to break into WWE? What would they say? You know what they would say? They would say that this guy's out of shape, he doesn't have the right look, so on and so forth. But back in 1996, all the top guys were going to WCW. WWE had no choice but to give a guy like Mick Foley a shot. I hate to say it, if Steve Austin even tried to break in 2011, I could see WWE just giving him like a 1 month's push and then quickly giving up on him. That's just the way it is. There's so many guys on the roster now, and the entire landscape of the business has changed, between 1996 and today. So there you go. All right. One more question here. Do you feel there's a realistic possibility of a CM Punk Austin match happening at WrestleMania next year? It seems they are both down for it, but is WWE willing to make it happen? I think WWE would love to have Steve Austin back in the ring. Absolutely. I'm sure CM Punk would love to have a match with Steve Austin at WrestleMania. I think when it all comes down to it, it's Steve Austin's decision. If Steve Austin wants to do a match with CM Punk, that match is going to happen. That's just my opinion. Quite frankly, they already have The Rock versus John Cena at WrestleMania 28. That match is going to sell the show. Is there really a need for Steve Austin and CM Punk added to that card? I think it would be more effective, in my opinion, if they put Steve Austin in a separate pay-per-view, because that Steve Austin's name could help sell another pay-per-view, like say SummerSlam, for instance. But then again, maybe WWE will want to just stack up WrestleMania 28, make it the biggest WrestleMania 28 of all time. Even though with that one match with Cena and Rock, it's already going to be one of the biggest WrestleManias of all time. But we'll see what happens. I definitely think there's a good shot that we'll see Steve Austin back in the ring. And if he ends up back in the ring, most likely it will be against CM Punk. So there you have it. We're all set for No DQ&A number 9. Let me know what you think about the show. Leave your comments on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/NoDQCAW. Let me know what you thought about some of the answers. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Love to hear what you guys think, and we'll see you next time for No DQ&A.
And now, preview time. So let's take a look at what's coming your way.
Casa D18 Studios, an affiliate of the Jeff Meacham Network, Multiverse of Media, proudly presents this retro content from the Casa D18 Studios.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 9 of the Renegade of Wrestling. I am your host, JJ Williams, here to bring you my thoughts of some of the bullshit that went down this week in wrestling. This week of wrestling has got to be one of the weakest weeks of wrestling I can remember in some time, because I just got done watching SmackDown and TNA Impact from the past week, and I could barely remember what the fuck I just saw. It was that god-awful. Anyways, Monday Night Raw, Sheamus became the new United States champion, beating my boy Daniel Bryan, a.k.a. Bryan Danielson. What the hell is up with that? Sheamus has been on, like, a losing streak for the past 5 months since winning the King of the Ring tournament, and all of a sudden he gets the United States championship. Seriously, dude? I mean, that's like Jeff Hardy getting busted for drugs and becoming World Heavyweight Champion. That would never happen, right? I guess so. Anyways, Snooki made her WWE debut, kind of piggybacking off the fact that the Jersey Shore whores have been popping up in TNA, JWoww and Angelina, and now WWE goes to the high-class whore, Snooki. Again, what the fuck, WWE? You've got Melina, Natalya, Beth Phoenix, Gail Kim. None of these bitches are getting pushed in matches, and you're going to go bring in a freaking 4-foot treasure troll whore to steal the show. And now she's booked in a match of WrestleMania. It's going to be John Morrison, Trish Stratus, which, don't get me wrong, I love seeing Trish back, and Snooki against Dolph Ziggler and Lay Cool. Is Vince Russo ghostwriting this shit again? What the fuck? Seriously, this is like lame shit. Vince, I know you've got some testicles. I know you're supposed to be like the king of groundbreaking entertainment, you know, the pioneer of sports entertainment. Seriously? Snooki? That's the best you can come up with. Over on Impact, the highlight of the night was AJ Styles getting put through a table. And, this guy, Jeff Hardy, being sent home from the backstage area because TNA was concerned about his condition. I told y'all last week, I'm denouncing this fool. There it is. Proof positive for all those people out there in internet land that said, no, you're just talking trash, you're jumping on the hate Hardy bandwagon. You're just saying it because it's cool to not like Hardy now. I wanted to rip up one of the shirts today. I was talked out of that. Because, you know, I could always throw the shirt up on eBay and still get some money for that fucking thing. That's how bad Jeff Hardy is pissing me off right now. You know, Sting came out at the start of Impact and he called out Hogan and Bischoff because he had something he wanted to say to them. I was waiting for Steve to be like, okay, can you tell me what the point is putting a world title on a crack whore when he's about to do jail time? That's what I was waiting for Steve Borden Sting to say. What's the point of putting a strap on a druggie who's about to face jail time? Kind of goes back to RVD too. Ken Anderson. They're freaking two of the freaking #1 contenders now RVD got busted for drugs, fired from the WWE, lost his titles, came to TNA, got a strap. Ken Anderson, Mr. Kennedy, failed drug tests, comes to TNA, brought up to the top of the ladder there, title matches, the whole 9 yards. Granted, he still hasn't gotten the title yet, but the fuck. SmackDown. Highlight of the night. Christian Cage finally getting his revenge on Alberto Del Rio. Sorry, I said Christian Cage. I just got done talking about TNA. Forgive me. Christian, Captain Charisma, Double C, whatever, however you want to call him, gets his revenge over Alberto Del Rio, only to get his ass beat down afterwards. Seriously, people? The cage match was good, don't get me wrong. But, the hell? Drew Carey gets announced for the fucking Hall of Fame. I'd walk off here, but I was told not to walk off camera anymore. You know, the cameraman not to walk off. Jeff, when we're on Dads of Wrestling, not to walk off. Apparently the walking off gimmick has gotten old, but you know what? Excuse me. Drew Carey, seriously? What the hell? And then they announced on WWE.com Abdullah the Butcher's going in. His claim to fame is he could put quarters in the creases on his head. He's been cut open and bladed so many times. So next year, are we going to induct Matilda? Mascot of the British Bulldogs here? Because I'm sure, you know, with her freaking bulldog wrinkles, you could do the same thing. Maybe we'll throw Frankie in the Hall of Fame alongside Coco Beware. The hell. The British Bulldogs. Dynamite and Davey on their own. Jake Roberts, Randy Savage, Ultimate Warrior, Owen Hart, Brian Pillman, the Hollywood Blondes, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Abdullah the Butcher, Bullet Bob Armstrong, Drew Carey. What? Seriously? The WWE Hall of Fame became a joke when Pete Rose got in. End of story. And it's been downhill ever since. That's it for the week's worth of wrestling. But before we cut, I have a mailbag question I need to answer. I was asked by one of my Twitter followers out there who my favorite WWE champion of the modern era is. He defines modern era as being from 2002 to the present. So I decided to amend that just a smidge. I started with when Brock Lesnar beat The Rock at SummerSlam 2002, because it was during that title reign that the belt went from becoming the Undisputed title to being the WWE Championship again. So my choices are Brock Lesnar, The Big Show, Kurt Angle, JBL, John Cena, Edge, Rob Van Dam, Triple H, Randy Orton, Sheamus, The Miz, and Eddie Guerrero. I list Eddie Guerrero last because that's got to be my favorite WWE champion of the modern era. He was the little engine that could, that was told he'd never be the champion. He defied all the odds. He overcame the boundaries. He overcame his demons. And he had one of the funnest title reigns I've ever seen. I'm starting to get a little emotional talking about Eddie, you know. Love Eddie to death. He was the first autograph I got in my program way back in the day, but be that as it may. Also, before I sign off, I gotta represent right here Long Beach Clothing Company. Big shout out to you guys for hooking me up, hooking Jeff up, hooking my cameraman. You know what? Here. It's going to be a little shaky. I apologize. That's right. Our cameraman, A-double, not to be confused with double A. Yeah, I screwed that up, but whatever. Double A, Aaron Austin, not to be confused with A-double Austin Aries. This is a live show, so you know what? Fuck it. If I flub, I flub. But yeah. Even Stat Boy, the LB Kid, got a shirt. They even hooked my daughter up with one. So, big shouts out to the Long Beach Clothing Company. If you're on Twitter, you can go to my page, ROWJJ Williams. Look at my followers. They'll be up there towards the top. You can go to Jeff's page, TWHD Host. They'll probably be towards the top of his page. You can even go to Aaron's page. I don't know the little symbol for his, but you can find him through me and Jeff also. Or just go twitter.com/LB Clothing Co. C-O. That's LBCLOTHING CO. If any of my peeps out here that live in the SoCal area, LA, Orange County, get your ass down to Long Beach Clothing Company. Represent your hood. For now, I'm the Renegade of Wrestling, JJ Williams, and I'll see you next week when I make it to episode 10.
And now, preview time. So let's take a look at what's coming your way.
Hello everybody, this is Double A, the normal cameraman for the Renegade of Wrestling Channel on YouTube. Shouts out to guys over there. Just letting you know to be on the lookout for my new show, The Double Down with Double A. It's going to be innovative, it's going to be fun. I'm not always going to talk about wrestling. I'm going to talk about sports, current events, or just shit that just really just pisses me off. So be sure to tune in very soon.
The Casa D18 Studios, an affiliate of the Jeff Meacham Network, Multiverse of Media, proudly presents this retro content from the Casa D18 Studios.
Hey fans, how's it going? What's up? It's that boy here, and we are on episode 9. Thank you. Diesel, get out of here. Go on, shoo. Go. I'm doing my show. Fine, you want to be on my show? Come here. Sit here and be quiet then. How about that? Look, you're on TV. Silly cat. Go on, get out of here. Okay. Diesel, the Wonder Cat, made his debut on my show. Anyway, hey, look at that. He even gets a cheap pop. Look at that. And he scratches himself. Boy, the cat's got my full attention. This is great. I make a promise, and the cat's getting all the attention. He's got these cute little eyes. Okay. Anyway, let's focus here. Focus, that boy. Focus. Yikes. The things I go through on this show. Anyway, I made some promises to go back and do some reading and some research, and I did, so let's just get started. Rated R 1000 Incorporated. Rant on how WWE doesn't care about Survivor Series, and what's your favorite event, Survivor Series-wise. I totally agree with you, Rated R, because if you've noticed, Survivor Series, there haven't been very good. It hasn't been good at all since the early 90s, maybe even when the first few 3 came out, like 88 to 91. And since then, they've totally eliminated the traditional Survivor Series match. You know, I mean, those matches were to show to team unity and find out who works well and all this. You know, it's like... And when they did try to bring it back with that, with the... When it was DX and Punk and that a few years ago, that was a 5-on-0 squash. I mean, I'm happy DX won and all of that, along with Punk and the Hardys. That was great, but it's like, do I really want to see ding 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 sweet chin music? 1, 2, 3. Did we win? Did we win? Do I really want to see that? No. I want to see a good 30-minute match. You know, they go back and forth and all this stuff, and you know, then all the finishers come out, especially when Big Show was in one of those matches. You know, it's like, here comes Ray dropping the dime. Here comes Chris Benoit with the diving headbutt. Here comes Edge with the spear. Here comes this guy with the power bomb. What? I said Chris Benoit. So what? Here, I'll say it again. Chris Benoit. There, I said it. He's not the Lord Voldemort of WWE, okay? You can't even say that name in the Harry Potter sequences. But you know, like I say, it's seriously gone downhill. Big time. What they need to do, they need to stop worrying about all the title matches and everything, and just... I even think maybe the champion should get like a pass for that. Put them in a Survivor Series match, but they don't have to defend their title. Do it the next night on Raw. As far as my favorite Survivor Series, 1991, when Taker made his debut. Came out, you know, took out everybody. And then about no, wait a minute. That wasn't 91. That was 90. Survivor Series 91 was when he won the title, which that is my favorite. So, but hey, Good job, Taker. Stay in the business as long as you can. Up next, Screwball2469 says, when do you think Dolph Ziggler will drop the U.S. title and push toward the WWE Championship? He's had a good run. It's been 3 months. I will say at the Rumble. Look for him to... I don't know if he'll win the Rumble. It would be great if he did. But I say he'll lose the U.S. title there. The Rumble champion. Randy? Wow. Randy Savage is liking my show from the great beyond. Wow, that was kind of creepy. Anyway, I think, like I say, he'll lose the title at the Rumble. Whoever wins the Rumble, CM Punk, will probably chase for the title at WrestleMania. Maybe Punk and Ziggler will have a little feud leading up to, and then Dolph will get his push. But as long as he's got the U.S. title, he's got a good thing going. Pure Bass writes, how long do you think Kelly will go on as champion? And do you think she's holding the belt until Karma comes back? She needs to lose that belt. Big time. I mean, to defeat Beth Phoenix and defeat Natalya with roll-ups, with victory rolls, that's a joke. So, they're really cheapening the belt. As far as Karma coming back, that's still going to be a while. You know, she is pregnant. 9 months is a long time. So, she definitely will not hold the belt that long. Otherwise, every time she comes out, it's going to be change the channel, grab a snack, go to the bathroom, put the kids to bed, have a smoke, talk to your mother, and feed the cat. Ain't that right, Diesel Dude? So, yeah. Let's see what else we can find on here real quick. Let's see, what else? Kruthic31. If you were a manager and you could have 4 wrestlers from any time period, who would be in your stable? I'm thinking somewhere along the lines with the honor of the Horsemen, and it's got to be an honorable team. Let's see, for muscle, who's got some muscle? Batista, you're out. He's out because we don't need him. Let's see, I need someone with muscle, somebody quick, somebody smart, and somebody technical. And let's throw in a valet. Technical's easy. Chris Benoit, no matter what. Gotta have Chris Benoit in there. Somebody who's smart and beats you with the mind. I'll say Triple H, because he does get in your head. That's why he's a cerebral assassin. Somebody, okay, and Punk. We can throw him in there too. Punk or Triple H? Punk or Triple H? Can I do 5? Because Punk and Triple H would be like a bit of a... I'll go with Punk. Because he'll mess with your mind. Let's see. Strength. Who's strong, badass? I'm going to go Davey Boy. Let's put Davey Boy in there because he had some power. So we got Davey Boy, Punk, Benoit, and we need... Let's see, speed and agility. I don't want to go Ray. I'll go Kofi. And just for giggles, how about a valet? Let's go. Let's see. We need a valet. Somebody not too slutty. Oh wait, that's all the divas right now, so they're out. Miss Elizabeth. There you go. There's my stable right there. And last on the list, I got a Twitter rant. This is the first one from Twitter. 10 Daniel 30 says, what would you do if you were president? Yeah, Stat Boy for president. There you go. I promise my fellow Americans that I will make sure the budget gets balanced, and I will make sure that everybody has $1,000 in their pockets, regardless of your status in the world today. I'll make sure every child gets a proper education, and all the homeless people have a place to go on the streets. I'll bring home all the troops and bring them home because they don't need to be overseas anymore. 2 people that ruin the world for us today are gone. Let them fight their own battles. Okay? Let's see, what else? Read my lips, no new taxes. Yeah, right, that's going to be but that worked. Let's see. What else could I do as president? I'd put a wrestling ring on the front lawn and have Monday Night Raw right there. Let's see. Air Force One would be kind of like the plane in Soul Plane, and it'd be all tricked out, and there'd be a party every week. I wouldn't use a limousine. I'd get a nice big Humvee or a Hummer or whatever, the stretch with a jacuzzi in the back. Let's see. I wouldn't take up golf because golf is boring. Let's see. What else could I do as president? I'd make the Renegade my vice president. Let's see. Who could I have as my first lady, I wonder? Because I have to have a first lady. I'll worry about that later. Let's see. So yeah, that's what I would do as president. Let me do a quick touch on the UFC. We had UFC this weekend. Rampage lost. What a shame. He actually tapped out. I couldn't believe it. Rampage tapped out. So, I don't want to say I'm losing respect for Rampage. Fight back and all that. Good job for John Jones. In fact, Joe Rogan proved the point. Joe Rogan said this in UFC. These are not my words. You're not a champion until you defend the title. So, John Jones, you are now the champ. Good for you. And Josh Koscheck, he beat Matt Hughes. Knocked him out with 1 second left on the clock in the first round. It was very close. I thought actually he got saved by the bell, but he didn't. Upcoming later this month, October 8th is 136 with Maynard and Edgar for the welterweight title, I believe. I'm not sure I can't remember what belt it is. And then next month after that is the GSP fight, which I will be watching. Thank you. Keep those comments coming. We're doing pretty good. I'm happy. Tomorrow, the next episode will be episode 10. That's 2 hands. These rants are always Statboy approved, and Statboy is out.
And now, preview time. So let's take a look at what's coming your way.
Scan the QR codes to see what's upcoming for FTW Productions and what's available on demand right now. Button Master Stable Wars entire playlist. AEW Revolution Go Home Week, Dynamite and Rampage watch parties. Mistress Audio dramatic readings featuring voice actors from Weymouth Youth Wrestling. Elimination Chamber retrospective. All WrestleMania themed retros by Wrestling Fortune 44 Incorporated. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order Let's Play series. WrestleMania 19 Revenge Mode Let's Play series. All of A Simple Man's Brand Simply Predicting panels. Both episodes of The Don DeMarco Show. AEW Spark, WWE Aftershock, every show week by week. The entirety of the NASCAR Thunder 2004 Let's Play series. Past and upcoming Jeff Meacham Network watch-along coverage. FTW Productions watch party for WrestleMania Go Home Raw. A Simple Take, WWE Simple Takes featuring Casa D18 Studios. Super Mario Bros. Z voice acting. Episode 3 coming soon. Breaking news. ATW View Impromptu. WYW Intro and Immortal Stream. Wrestling with Idiocy Episode 7. Our favorite WrestleMania matches. Plugs have concluded. On to the video.
The Casa D18 Studios, an affiliate of the Jeff Meacham Network, Multiverse of Media, proudly presents this retro content from the Casa D18 Studios.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 9 of Dad's on Wrestling. I have now tied my old record of a hearty conversation. I am the Renegade of Wrestling, J.J. Williams.
And I am Mr. TW with the big mouth, apparently after last show, Jeff Meacham for the prediction show. I'm getting some backlash for that, so shame on me, Dad Jeff.
Anyways, we are here to discuss our thoughts on the Knockouts and Divas divisions as they currently stand, and what we would maybe do a little bit differently.
So, are we talking about the girls themselves or the division as a whole?
The divisions as a whole, I believe.
Okay, well, I'm gonna... Goodbye.
Oh, really?
Okay, no more walk-offs. We said no more walk-offs.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah.
We said no more walk-offs.
We said no more walk-offs for the cameraman.
Okay, but still. But even me walking out for that. The problem is, this is coming from a guy that's to shape a women's fed and to build it from the ground up and try to see what works and what doesn't. Both mainstream companies are not doing the right things.
I wholeheartedly agree. My thought process on this is that you should pretty much just eliminate the two divisions altogether and create a more modern day version of like Glow or Wild, as you've been associated with in the past.
Right.
And basically take the best women from each company along with the best girls on the indie circuit and create your own 20-25 girl roster of solid workers.
You know,
We don't need girls that look sexy with their ass in the air when they're pinning.
it doesn't hurt, but
Yeah, it doesn't hurt, don't get me wrong, you know. But I would much rather see a Beth Phoenix versus Natalya match than to see Kelly versus Layla.
right. Which, granted, it's sad to lump Layla into that because she had promise at one point.
She did, and I will admit that she's improved a great deal. I don't know if it's her being with Michelle McCool,
Well,
or if it's just the fact that she feels she has to step up her game to be with Michelle. I don't know what it is, but Layla has improved a lot over the past year.
but she's looked down upon so much because of the association with Lay Cole. That's the
This
problem.
is true.
You know, if Layla would stand on her own, and a sneeze, but it went away. If Layla would stand on her own and tweak the bitch gimmick a little bit, and maybe not be so bitchy, and have Michelle just go away altogether for the
Yeah.
it could work. But yeah, both companies, WWE and TNA, are not pushing the right people, and when they were pushing the right people, it was short term.
Yeah.
Natalya is a great example of that. She won the belt at Survivor Series
Yes, I believe
and
so.
lost it at the Rumble.
Yes,
2
2
months as champion. Compared to
Mickie James still hasn't even gotten the
Knockout.
title in TNA.
she's been champion, and she's been there for over a year now, almost.
Yeah.
And Madison is still the champion. I love me some Madison Rain.
Yeah.
Okay, she's pretty.
I can take her or leave
She's
her.
pretty, okay? But she's not the best worker on the roster, and the fact she has to have Tara continually fight her battles is bullshit.
It is.
I get it. She's the heel. She's the queen bee. She's the head bitch in charge. Whatever.
Killer Queen is her song.
Killer
says.
Queen is the song, which is a great fucking song, by the way. It's a great mix of that song. But get over it.
Yeah.
Mickey deserves the belt. And if not Mickey, then Tara again.
And if not
them,
Tara, then Winter.
Winter, you know, and I dare say, you know, all people are going to be like, what the fuck are you talking about? But Angelina or Velvet, because when those two are turned loose and can actually show their wrestling skills, they can go a minute.
Yeah.
It's, you know, nobody's had a chance to see Velvet really turn it loose. When she was Talia Madison in the indie circuit, I bet she could tear it up.
I'm not the hugest Angelina fan, but I would still bring her into my 20 to 25 diva
That's what I.
roster
Yep.
just based off of the fact that she's been Knockouts champion so much. I would even bring in Michelle McCool. Some of you guys that have followed me since the Hardy conversation will remember my rant on Michelle McCool.
Yes.
But I believe that she has gotten to the point where she's a solid enough worker that if you put her in there with Mickey, Tara, Winter, Gail, whoever, it won't suck.
Right.
Like it would have 2 years ago when I first ripped her to shit.
Right. Okay. And you know, again,
Michelle and Angelina would actually be a decent match, I think.
yeah, I mean, a battle of the beautiful people type
Yeah.
thing, you know. I mean, gimmick versus gimmick stealer.
There you go. Velvet and Angelina versus Lay Cole.
There you go. This whole thing gets back to what we talked about on the Best of the Indie show.
Yes.
The NWA is the best of the All-Stars.
It is, and there's women in there
There's
that I
women
bring
in
into my
there.
company.
Lucky,
Buggy,
Buggy,
Nikki.
definitely Nikki.
Dare I say your favorite Thunder Kitty? I'd even bring in and just keep her as a lower mid-card talent to help get some of the other girls over.
I will abdicate that. That's fine.
I mean, she would not be my star, my champion by any means.
she-
Maybe if I had a tag team title, I'd maybe give her half of that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
keep her down there a little bit so her ego doesn't get too out of whack,
Yeah.
as I've heard it can.
Yeah, and you know, I've talked about Wild a lot in the past, and you know,
This is the first time I think we've really gotten into it on this show.
on this show, right? You know, Wild is for everything that's been crapped on in the last December, almost 4 months now.
Ever since that
Ever
controversial
since
episode?
that video, as it was called on the Wild website, where I won the Wild Award for. Where's my damn plaque, Travis? I won the award. Yeah, I want my plaque. I want my plaque, and I want my box of chocolates to give my woman, or keep for myself, whichever happens to tickle my fancy. Ever since that video, Wild has been looked upon as just, you know, oh, it's whatever, it's Travis and Jeff. It's like, no. Look at the workers.
Yeah.
And if you want a example of how not to book a women's match, I love the NWA from Hollywood.
Mhm.
Okay, but that tag match I don't know what happened back then.
Hey,
I don't know what happened in that match, but it was just not a good situation.
Yeah.
And people are, oh, well, that's indicative of women's wrestling in SoCal.
No, it's not.
It's not.
Not by any means.
That is
I
just...
chalk that up to two women in the match having personal beef outside the match and not wanting to put each other over.
Exactly.
Bottom line.
Thank you.
You know, look at what Shawn and Brett did with each other when they didn't like each other and how they still made each other look like $1 million. Didn't watch that match. End of story.
Right, exactly.
People that don't like each other can still put each other over and make themselves look good.
Yeah, because
these two just couldn't do it.
Yeah, Shawn and Brett, up until the sharpshooter, they made each other look like they were beating the crap out of each other. They made it look good.
Yeah.
Probably because they kind of were.
Yeah,
but,
exactly.
You know,
I was going to say, we're getting a little too far off topic here with talking about WWE.
But the difference is, I've noticed with the girls that I've worked with, that they're very...
catty?
Catty. Which is women are catty. It just
they are by nature. It's no offense,
no
women.
offense to any of y'all.
Lucky, Buggy, Christina, any of you that are watching this, Jezebel, no offense. Women are catty by nature.
Yeah.
It's just a chromosome in their system.
Yeah, men are
that makes them catty by nature.
Just like men are slobs by nature, unless you're. Anyway, it's a true statement. Thank you, Aaron, for the laugh. Thank you, appreciate that. Okay, I'm right here. I'm here all week, kids. I'm healed up right there. There you go. All right. And JJ walked off again. Damn. Okay. I'm sorry. Have you ever met a sloppy? Seriously?
Yeah, no.
Thank you. Okay. The defense rests. Anyway.
I've met sloppy questionable ones, but never sloppy ones that actually were.
Never mind. I was gonna ramble off on that one.
Yeah. Let's just let it go. Let's just let it go.
Give Aaron his five. Get Aaron his five.
Okay.
All right.
I want my change bag full. Anyway. We're getting completely off topic.
We're completely off topic. The women are catty, and it seems like, and maybe this is just my observation, being where I've been with the women in SoCal, they don't want to seem to group up and succeed as a whole. It's all about me. It's all about them. It's all about my, me. If the women of SoCal, I dare say if the women of WWE and TNA and Indies were to group up and go, you know what? It's our time, bitches.
Y'all need to come together like Voltron and just rule the galaxy. I'm just saying.
Seriously. I mean, to reference a shirt JJ wore at one point, I think on this show or one of your Renegade, the Power Rangers Dinosaurs were good separate. The Megazord whooped that ass.
Yeah.
The Megazord will whoop that ass. And
except I was talking about the original version, Jeff, not the Power Rangers. I'm talking about Voltron.
I didn't know about Voltron.
Okay.
I understood what you were talking about, but I never watched Voltron, so I have no idea what the fuck you're talking
you're
about.
Phil. You need to get out of the shot on that one. But yeah. Back to kind of what I was talking about. I would bring together pretty much the greatest hits.
Yes.
Past and present even. You know, if they could still go and were willing to still get in the ring, bring in Ivory. Bring in Molly Holly.
Who can still go.
Bring in Lita, if she's willing to put the microphone down, step away from the luchadors for a minute, and get back in the ring. Because I think that those three, bring back Trish, they could get these catty broads to come together and be like, look, in our day, we were considered the greatest women's division ever. Bar none. Look back at that post-Attitude Era WWF Women's Division when you had Lita, Ivory, Sable, Jacqueline, Chyna, you know, Jazz, thank you, Mickey, Victoria.
Anything from the post-Attitude / WCW era till the retirement of Trish and Lita was a freaking golden age for women's wrestling.
It was.
It was. And TNA...
At least since the original golden age with Moolah.
Seriously.
Moolah, May.
And TNA was starting to understand that, but they didn't have the women's championship until a year later with Gail, and then Kong came in and just ruled all.
Yeah.
Which, by the way...
I love Kong, but I think Kong killed their Knockouts division.
Kong killed the whole Knockouts division. And I gotta say, this Lita shirt, this is like the pre-Edge Lita, and she's still showing all... Look at the boob, dude. I'm just mad boobage there. I'm just gotta say, that was the Hardy Lita, which means she was still sexy, you know. But for those of you that say she wasn't a slut until, you know, Edge came along, just saying. Just saying. But bring her back.
Yeah. Lita was sexy when she was Miss Congeniality in ECW pre-boob job. I'm just throwing that out there.
Pre-boob job, and also the whole thong thing.
Yeah. When she was running with S.A. Rios, she was hot.
it's because their butt crack mechanic every time she did a moonsault. That was.
What's wrong with that?
I'm not saying anything wrong with that. I'm just saying that's what it was.
Okay.
Anyway, was that a boob job too?
No, that was post boob job.
Okay. Anyway, again, we're off topic. We're talking about women and their boobs now.
We knew it was going to come to this eventually.
It was. I mean, Lita's boobs are just right there, dude. Sorry,
Sorry, Stacy Keebler, never get them touched. Just throwing that out.
Jay, you're a big man. It's a big shirt. The boobs are just everywhere. I'm sorry. Anyway, yeah, Stacy, don't ever touch your boobs. Tori, leave yours the way yours are. Just, even though yours is a boob job, whatever.
I think our women are going to kill us for this episode, talking about other women's boobs.
Yeah.
So we should probably save ourselves and wrap it up.
Probably, because I don't know where to go with this.
Hopefully we got enough into depth on this topic to satisfy our crowd.
The lady viewers. And if you weren't satisfied, try again next week.
Yeah, seriously. But bottom line, Mickey, Tara, Winter, Angelina, Madison, Velvet,
Michelle McCool,
Layla. I wouldn't throw Layla in there.
Really?
I wouldn't throw her in there, though.
But
Michelle, Beth,
Natty,
Natalia,
definitely Natalia,
Gail, Lucky, Buggy, Sarah Del Rey.
Allison Danger.
Yeah.
Who's in Wild now?
All those girls, throw them into one Fed plus a few others. I think you'd have a really solid, done right women's division.
Exactly. But that is a dreamer's dream.
Yes.
Because WWE TNA will never let their girls go.
No.
And their girls are working the indies. I don't know if they'll do that.
For episode 9, I have been the Renegade.
I have been Mr. TW. And if you haven't liked the show, we're Jim and Bob. All right.